Now on GMU at 6, a historic day in Washington. Joe Biden will become America's next president. See the heavy security in place for his inauguration.
Live from Utah's first TV station, Good Morning Utah at 6 starts now.
Good morning, Utah. I'm Brian Carlson.
And I'm Sarah Martin. It is 6 a.m. on this Wednesday. Today begins a new chapter in American politics. Joe Biden will take the oath of office to become the 46th president of the United States. This is a live look at our nation's capital, where that ceremony will begin in just a couple of hours. This comes 2 weeks after pro-Trump supporters stormed those steps to prevent today's transfer of power. And we have team coverage of the big event. ABC4's Jared Giattinelli is live from the Utah State Capitol, where our state is preparing for possible protests surrounding the inauguration. But we begin with ABC's Elizabeth Schulze, live in Washington, covering the events there in our nation's capital. Elizabeth?
Good morning. Well, it's been 2 weeks since rioters stormed this building, and now the Capitol, where we are standing, is a fortress. The priority here today is a peaceful transfer of power as President-elect Joe Biden prepares to take the oath of office. In an inauguration unlike any other, Joe Biden is set to become the 46th president of the United States. The president-elect opening his inaugural events with a solemn ceremony at the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. 400 lights to honor the more than 400,000 American lives lost in the pandemic. A sobering reminder of the crisis facing a divided nation as he takes office.
To heal, we must remember.
The president-elect will start his day at church, joined by congressional leaders from both parties. Today there will be no parade or inaugural balls. Instead of crowds, 200,000 flags will wave from the National Mall. Sources tell ABC News Biden will project a message of unity in his inaugural address. Speaking from the same sacred place that was stormed by pro-Trump rioters exactly 2 weeks ago. The Capitol is now surrounded by armed Guard members, barricades, and checkpoints. 25,000 National Guard members on hand to ensure a peaceful transfer of power. In a farewell video, President Trump wished Biden well, without naming him.
This week we inaugurate a new administration and pray for its success.
The president spent his final hours at the White House issuing a slew of pardons, including to former advisor Steve Bannon. Trump will break 150 years of tradition by not attending the inauguration. But Biden and Harris will be joined by former Presidents Obama, Clinton, and Bush after the swearing in to lay a wreath at Arlington National Cemetery's Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. The former vice president will return to the White House this evening as commander-in-chief, prepared to issue a series of executive orders undoing some of Trump's signature policies.
That was ABC's Elizabeth Schulze reporting. Soon-to-be Vice President Kamala Harris will be sworn in using a Bible from the Supreme Court's first black justice, Thurgood Marshall.
Here in Utah, state leaders are preparing for possible protests surrounding today's inauguration. So what can we expect? ABC4's Jared Giattinelli live at our state capitol with this story. Good morning, Jared.
Good morning. Well, there's always beefed up security during the first week of the legislature, but due to the governor's executive order, both UHP and the Utah National Guard are on standby in case protesters break out after President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration. Now take a look at this video from over the weekend of a smaller demonstration. Officials are preparing this afternoon for protests which are planned at all 50 state capitals from Utah to Washington, D.C. We have a heightened security. Local law enforcement agencies are preparing for armed protesters. During an ABC4 News town hall, we sat down with Utah Senator Mitt Romney and Representative Chris Stewart discussing where our country goes from here under Biden's administration.
What can happen is what's happened in other nations that have faced crisis or a decline or division, and that is great leaders.
That we could work with this president on, and I think that would assure the American people that there are areas of common interest and that Washington isn't so broken that there's no hope of ever accomplishing anything anymore.
While it's unclear Senator Romney's inauguration schedule, Representative Stewart said he wanted to attend the inauguration in D.C., but says he and his wife are exposed to COVID-19 and he is taking the necessary precautions. Now, still a lot of uncertainty surrounding what will happen here at the Capitol, but we do have heightened security, and a lot of these measures the Utah Highway Patrol says could be implemented moving forward. Now, coming up next, we will talk impeachment. Representative Stewart decided not to impeach the president in the House, but now that those articles of impeachment are going to the Senate, it's now up to Senator Romney to decide, and we'll have more on that. Reporting live, Jared Jotnany, ABC 4 News.
All right, thank you, Jared. And we, of course, are covering the inauguration all morning here on Good Morning Utah. Later this hour, we'll talk live with Utah's Hinckley Institute of Politics about what we can expect from the Biden administration. Then we'll talk with former Utah Congressman Ben McAdams. He's attending today's inauguration. He'll join us live from Washington to talk about the security surrounding today's big event.
All right, it's time to check our weather. Erica, we've got a good one out there today.
I know. I'm so excited. This has been the pick of the week. I've been so excited about this. And we're halfway to the weekend, Sarah, so I think it's absolutely ideal for Inauguration Day, right?
Perfect.
Why not? Perfect. So a live look outside over downtown Salt Lake City. I am loving this right now. The skies are clearing up. The winds are calming down, ranging anywhere between about 7 to 10 miles per hour here locally in Salt Lake City. But for the most part, a weak area of high pressure is starting to develop. So conditions for today are going to be pretty nice for everybody. Here's a look at your weather outlook. Remember, this is our 500 millibar chart. We have a fair weather Wednesday as a weak area of high pressure develops, clearing showers for southern Utah. Really what we're seeing would be remnants of what we saw overnight. Southern Utah, you guys are certainly going to clear up very quickly. A mix of sun and clouds for you, Washington County and Kane County, along with San Juan County. In the meantime, your air quality, some of you are seeing issues for today, including the Uinta Basin, Utah County, farther south, no issues for Iron County or Washington County. So that's some good news there. Oftentimes that's what I'm looking for, right? Especially when we're talking about a ridge of high pressure and the potential for an inversion to develop. In the meantime, here's a look at an incident. Utah 71, 700 east, southbound, 2 lanes blocked at Wilson Avenue. This is all we have right now, but we'll keep you updated on that. In the meantime, back to you.
Thank you, Erica. New overnight, the Salt Lake City School District sending middle and high school students back to the classroom. The 5-hour-long board meeting ended late last night with the board voting 6-1 to return to in-person learning. Teachers in the district started getting COVID-19 vaccines last week, so that switch to in-person learning going to be a little safer. Middle and high school students are expected to return to class February 8th. That date will qualify teachers for the $1,500 stipend from the state legislature. And beginning today, you can get a rapid COVID-19 test at the Salt Lake International Airport. Express Check is opening a COVID-19 testing site in Concourse A right after that security checkpoint. Passengers can get rapid molecular tests and standard nasal swab tests. Those rapid test results will come through while travelers are waiting for their flights, but they do cost about $200. Tests are available through Thursdays through Mondays from 9 to 5.
And new this morning, the first presidency and the apostles over the age of 70 for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints have now received the COVID-19 vaccine. President Russell M. Nelson and his wife and other top church leaders all got the shot. The first presidency released a statement on the vaccine saying this, quote, "As appropriate opportunities become available, the church urges its members, employees, and missionaries to be good global citizens and help quell the pandemic by safeguarding themselves and others through immunization."
Intermountain Healthcare has confirmed the UK's COVID-19 variant is here in Utah. They say this new strain is more transmissible than previous variants. One of their physicians says if we continue to wear masks, practice social distancing, and good hygiene, we can help slow the spread of the virus.
We can very clearly see that when we're less careful as a community, we see spikes, and when we hunker down, we can be very successful at controlling viral spread in the community, and that's what we need to do now.
Health experts say the more we practice public health guidelines, the less we have to rely solely on the vaccine.
And we're now learning 70% of Utah's COVID deaths are people 65 and older. Because of this, experts at the University of Utah Health are encouraging older adults to get the vaccine as soon as possible. Doctors say while the first dose provides some layer of protection, it doesn't necessarily mean it's safe to go about life as normal.
I would definitely caution people between the first and second dose to really presume that you have no protection probably.
Now, doctors say peak protection against the virus comes about 7 to 10 days after the second dose. And they say it's important we keep wearing masks and avoid big gatherings until a larger portion of the population is vaccinated.
Let's get to your morning update on the latest COVID-19 numbers in Utah. Our Department of Health reported more than 1,300 new cases yesterday. Our state total now more than 326,000. 172,000 vaccines have been administered. 573 patients are being treated in the hospital right now. 7 more Utahns have died. Our death toll 1,507. Let's take a closer look at our last 7 days. We are averaging more than 2,000 cases per day. That number is declining. Our testing positivity rate also coming down, now 19.9%.
The time now is 6:10, and Utah's 2021 state legislative session got started yesterday, and COVID-19 forcing it to look much different than years past.
Under these far less than ideal circumstances, we should all do our part to protect one another so we can continue to do the work of the people of Utah.
Tuesday's session was mostly virtual. Legislators are expected to discuss the pandemic, tax cuts, police reform bills, as well as a number of other issues.
One of the session's top priorities this year, education funding. Education is our biggest ticket item in the state. It uses nearly half of the state funding every year. It's no coincidence our education base budget was the first thing on our lawmakers' lists.
Base budget should go through fairly easily. We always pass the base budget at the very beginning of the session, so in case the legislature and the governor don't agree on details near the end of the session, that we at least still have a budget.
This year, even with a recession, that budget is big. Legislators say COVID-19 has shown what an important part our schools play in our communities. Policy and funding this year will reflect that.
And in a story you'll only see on ABC4 News, Utah's new legislative session is being blamed for a delay on developing state police reform. An uncovered email showed the Department of Public Safety Commissioner canceled the state's Police Reform Commission meetings, citing busy schedules through March with the legislative session. The commissioner hopes those advocating for police reform will continue those discussions informally. The move has many social justice advocates concerned because they say police reform is top of mind with our recent unrest.
Even though it's a Republican supermajority and they could go in there and vote down every single police reform bill that we have. But if they do that, they're just going to continue to see unrest across the state.
Now, Police Reform Commission meetings are expected to be picked back up in March, but it's unclear how it will be handled under a new leadership.
6:12 now, coming up on Good Morning Utah, a house fire. It's house fire season. We've had 4 in just the last week. Coming up, the Red Cross joins us for a live interview to talk about keeping your home safe from fires. And we're taking a closer look at security in Washington this morning. Former Utah Representative Ben McAdams joins us live from D.C. with what he's seeing there today.